Welcome to Chiropractically Speaking. I am your host, Dr. Prat, or Dr. Prat for short. And today we're going to stand tall to bring you information about an unsung hero of our health, the spine. Surprised? Chiropractors love the spine, and the spine loves chiropractors. That link is undeniable, and we're here to tell you more about it. This architectural marvel does more than help us stand upright and move around. It actually controls the level of volume going through from brain to body. So let's unravel the mysteries of the spine and help you understand a little bit more about why your spine is so integral to your health. The spine, or the vertebral column, isn't just a rigid stick. It's 33 bones or vertebrae, along with supporting muscles, tendons, ligaments, all encompassing flexibility and protection. The spinal cord is also nicely encased into the spine, the spinal cord being the main vital pathway between the brain and the body, allowing for communication to flow and allowing the brain to give the body instructions on movement patterns. The spine is also organized into four main curves. The neck, which is called the cervical spine, is organized into something called a lordosis, followed by a kyphosis, or a reversal of the curve, in the thoracic spine, which is your mid-spine. Finally, in your lumbar spine, or your lower back, you have another lordosis, followed by the sacrum, which is in a kyphosis. The whole idea between the sacrum and the lumbar spine is that it transmits force from your spine to another large bony part of your body called your pelvis. The sacrum sits in between your pelvis and transmits force and allows your pelvis to rotate around. Your pelvis is also really important because that's where your legs insert. So how you get from sitting upright to standing and moving around entirely involves that movement pattern between the bones in your spine interacting with your pelvis. So we talked briefly about each of the sections of the spine, but you have to understand that each part of the spine has its own role. For example, the cervical spine or neck, what do you think that does? Well, it supports the head. The head sits on the first cervical vertebra, which is called the atlas, and the second cervical vertebra is called the axis. The first cervical vertebra rotates around the axis with your head. I found that super cool. I've talked about this before. Go back to a previous episode to hear what I said about it. The thoracic spine, your mid-spine, is really important because that's where your ribs attach, and it forms a protective cage around very vital organs, namely your lungs and your heart. Your lumbar spine, as I mentioned before, interacts with your sacrum and your pelvis in order to transmit force from your lower back into your legs. And it also supports the weight of the rest of your body, especially when you're sitting. It's extremely important to notice that as you sit, you increase the most amount of pressure on your lumbar spine. And when you stand, you're relieving that pressure to some degree because you're sharing the pressure of gravity with your legs. That's why it's important to get out of your chair every so often. I recommend 1 minute break every 30 minutes to take pressure off of your lumbar spine. Otherwise, it becomes too much pressure and you start to develop back pain. We touched as well on the whole idea of the nervous system being held within the spine. We also have to talk about the intervertebral discs. Now, the intervertebral discs are little pieces of tissue that separate the bones in your spine. So these firm little pieces of tissue are actually filled with a jelly-like material. And that jelly-like material is basically full of water. And if our discs are full of water, we have more ability of our body to be flexible and for the spine to absorb shock. If our spine is able to absorb shock, we're able to move around more smoothly and bend more freely, things like that. But if the gel in our discs starts to dry out, that is a degenerative trait or a degenerative change that can really make a huge difference in your body's ability to move around be flexible, or in the absence or presence of pain. When a disc dries out like that, it's impossible to reverse. I'm trying to tell you that science hasn't come up with a way to refill or rehydrate a disc that's gone dry. This plays a role in something like a disc bulge or a disc herniation or a disc prolapse. These are all jargon for the same issue. So the reason why disc bulges are so important to talk about from a chiropractic standpoint is that 4 out of 5 people are going to have back pain. Okay. So that's 4 out of 5 adults. And out of those 4 out of 5 adults who have back pain, again, another 80% of those people are going to be having back pain from discs. So 80% of people have disc problems. And that's a lot of people. And that's why chiropractic is going to be around forever. Let's jump into some spine facts before we start talking about why chiropractic care is amazing for lower back pain and just the spine in general. Let's talk about how many, let's just talk about some statistics about the spine. Okay, I'm going to read a few of these. The spine has over 120 muscles, over 220 ligaments, and 100 joints. Now, that's cool because you know what chiropractic does. We adjust the spine by moving the joints around, creating that pop, but we can also provide you with care for the muscles and the ligaments with exercises and with soft tissue work. Our body of work is very, very simple and straightforward. We are not just after the cracks, we're actually after the maintenance and the good sustainable movement of the spine. This includes the muscles which operate on the spine and the ligaments which support the spine. Did you know that the average human spine actually lengthens or grows taller by about a centimeter while lying down? So when you wake up in the morning, you're actually taller than through the rigors of the day. Does anybody know why that might be the case? Just leave us a comment below if you think you know. I'm going to tell you anyway. It's gravity, man. Gravity is the biggest. It keeps us on the earth, but it's also a compressive force. It's squeezing us down. When we're lying on our backs, we kind of have the ability to open up this way, and that's why we get a little bit taller. We talked about the discs being full of water, and water is very fluid. It can move around. It's not stuck to one particular space. It can move around, and therefore the discs expand very, very slightly. This is also a reason why a lot of people are recommended to lie down or get bed rest when their back hurts. Now, I'm okay with bed rest, but for a very short amount of time. If you're in acute pain, you're in agony, you can't move up or down, you can't bend, you can't straighten, you can't walk, fine, lie down. What else are you going to do? But here's what I'm trying to say. You make that a lifestyle habit. You stretch out your bed rest for 3 months. You get up, your muscles are going to be super weak, super tired, and they're not going to be able to sustain your normal lifestyle. If your lifestyle is active, your muscle loss is going to affect you quite a bit. So I always advocate get moving sooner. One of my heroes, Craig Liebenson, he always says, rehabilitation is movement in the presence of pain. So it's okay to have discomfort. It's not okay to just be completely on your back. And let's face it, you go to the doctor looks at you and says, hey, you have this problem. Take bed rest for 3 months, let's say. You're not going to be lying on your back and doing nothing. You're going to be on your phone. You're going to be propped up. You're going to be doing this and that because you're going to get bored, right? And that's not conducive to that lengthening of the spine. Just keep that in your minds for the next time you're getting recommended for bed rest. Also remember that I don't recommend bed rest. I recommend activity. The last piece of, spinal trivia, you want to call that? The last fact I want to share with you is that the spine actually has its own reflex arc. How cool is that? That means that a particular sensation that happens on the spine doesn't have to travel all the way up to the brain for a response to be sent back down. The spine can do its own reaction at the spinal level. One of the coolest examples of this is that phenomenon of ASMR. You might have heard of this also in chiropractic videos. It's that tingly feeling we feel on the back of our head. That is an autonomic sensory meridian response, ASMR. It's actually a really cool reflex arc that exists only in the spine that doesn't actually involve our brain. So where does chiropractic fit into this whole picture? Well, misalignments of the spine, also known as subluxations or restrictions, limit the amount of information going from brain to body. Now, if that exists over a period of time, you can experience pain, discomfort, stiffness, and if it continues or gets worse, it can even mean numbness, tingling, or loss of sensation or function of an area of your body. It doesn't always have to be an arm or a leg. Imagine the signal going to your lungs is reduced to 86%. Would you notice that 14%? But if you could get adjusted and have that limitation removed and improve your lung capacity or lung function to 96%, wouldn't that be a good thing? That's what chiropractic's about. If we can create movement for the spine and unlimit the ability of your nervous system to function, that's what chiropractors are after. By reducing the amount of stiffness or immobility or restriction to each spinal segment, we can improve the nervous system, we can optimize your health, we can improve your wellness goals, we can improve whatever issues you're having at that moment. We can also improve your overall sustainable change for your lifestyle. I often say this to people. No, chiropractors are not lifesavers. We don't save lives on a regular basis. It's not a crucial situation between life and death most of the time. I like to say that chiropractors are not lifesavers. We're lifestyle savers in the sense that you want to go and play golf, but your back pain is limiting you, go see your chiropractor. You have a difficult time lifting your kid after a hard day at work, go see your chiropractor. You have an issue with a genetic disorder in your family where your spines are predisposed to being extremely weak or degenerative, go see your chiropractor. Maybe you can do something about this and restore the type of lifestyle that you want to live. You do not have to live in pain. There are a lot of cases that have existed where somebody comes to see me and it's like, I've been suffering for 15 years and you fixed it in a couple of visits. What the heck? Why didn't I come see you sooner? And that's the beauty of chiropractic. That's one of the reasons I love being a chiropractor, because I can make changes on these long running issues when all hope is lost. Now, the techniques vary with chiropractic adjustments. It doesn't have to all be hands-on, crack 'em, whack 'em. We also do instrument-assisted chiropractic manipulations, which are really, really well researched. There's also soft tissue manipulations, exercises, lifestyle guidance, you name it. Chiropractic is here to help you not just fix the current issue, but fix future problems as well. Your spine will be more resilient as a result, and your body will benefit long term. So outside of chiropractic care, what else can you do for a healthy spine? Well, obviously, following the instructions of your chiropractor are going to be key and pivotal in this, but very simply, there's a physical element of it and there's a mental element of it. And that's just about consciousness and awareness of your body in space. So let's talk about the physical element of it. The physical stuff is really easy. Stretch, get up, move around. Don't get stuck in one position for long periods of time. That's something that's a hallmark of every piece of recommendations I've ever given in my life. And that's going to continue moving forward. We're sitting more than any generation of human beings ever before, and that's bringing along our unprecedented issues. One of the things that people say about it is sitting is the new smoking. Now, why do they say that? Now, I'm going to get the dates wrong and all that, but you just follow along. Back in the day, everybody smoked. I mean, medical doctors would recommend smoking for breathing issues. Imagine that. We were living in an age where it was cool, it was hip, it was healthy in some cases. And then suddenly research came out and said smoking was bad for you. Smoking caused cancer. Smoking was not a good thing. Now people still smoke, but once that research came out, the amount of people who smoked precipitously declined. And on top of that, while yes, people do still smoke, the amount of cancer and the amount of disease that was going on due to smoking seriously dropped. But they didn't know about those effects when they were recommending it regularly. Fast forward to today, people are sitting more than ever, and now we're learning about the crazy effects of sitting. Sitting 8+ hours a day means that you're 90% more likely to develop cardiovascular disease. Can you imagine that? And we're just learning about this. And we also know that sitting 8+ hours a day, okay, let's say, I get this objection all the time. No, I'm active. I work out every single day. I go for an hour at the gym. I'm like, okay, so how much are you sitting every day? No, but I work out. How much are you sitting every day? Oh yeah, I sit about 8, 9, 10 hours, whatever it is, but I'm still working out. I'm active. Did you know that sitting 8+ hours a day will minimize your workout by 70%? So if you worked out that 1 hour, is like you only worked out for 18 minutes. Food for thought. So again, sitting is the new smoking. We're understanding sitting as a damaging element of our lifestyles more now than ever before. And this is why it's crucial to make sure you're getting active, you're moving around, you're using your body the way it's meant to move. Again, somebody way smarter than myself has said this before, but motion is lotion. And I've made a small change to that. Movement is improvement. So make sure you're getting up there, you're moving your body around, you're doing the things that are needed for your spine to function well. One of the best ways to keep your discs hydrated is to keep them physically. What else can you do? You can stay hydrated. You can make sure you're stretching. You can make sure that you are doing things ergonomically good. Ergonomics is a difficult science because if you change one thing, it changes many other things. So it's like a set of parameters that you have to keep balancing. But if you can get your ergonomics right, definitely pay attention. This means when you're sitting, standing, walking, running, driving, make sure that you're optimizing movement for your spine. And finally, conscientiousness, understanding that, okay, I've been in this position for a really long time. I need to move. And listening to your body. These are all key elements of maintaining good spinal health. Don't ignore back pain. It is a really great idea to get it checked out. You do not have to live in pain. Back pain, as ubiquitous as it is, can be a major limiting factor for your lifestyle, but it doesn't have to be. And there we have it, the backbone of our health explored from top to bottom, tip to tail. The spine is a really, really important part of our health, and we should not neglect it at all. We've done enough of that already. Get off your butt, get moving, and hopefully you're listening to this podcast while you're doing that. This has been Chiropractically Speaking. I'm Dr. Prat. Tune into our next episode. And if this episode resonated with you, like, share, and subscribe. Spread the word, spread the love. See you next time.